All right, in the second part of the lesson for graphing equations, we're going to take our table of values that we created in the last example, and now we're going to look at them as they relate to a graph. So in the worksheet that you have, you're looking at just a plain graph. What we're going to end up doing is when we plug in these numbers, we get a result. So if you look at our input-output table, our table of values, we plug in 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So each of the x values have its corresponding y value. Now, the way we're going to graph these is that the x and y coordinates are also corresponding to the x and y axis on a coordinate plane. So you'll notice now I have ordered pairs of 1, 3, 2, 4, and 3, 5. In doing so, I'm going to look at my coordinate plane, and I'm going to plot the ordered pair. 1, 3, go 2, 4, and 3, 5. You'll notice in all of the examples that we do, we're going to create something that looks very close to a line if you plot these correctly. So all of these are linear equations. At the top of your paper, you'll also notice that it says graphing linear equations, linear meaning a straight line. In the next example, we're going to create our own table of values, and this also corresponds with number 1 on your worksheet. So the directions are create a table of values and graph the line by connecting the points. Notice nowhere on your worksheet do you have an actual table of values. You're going to create one to the right of the graph. You're going to make an X column and a Y column. If you think you need that third or middle column for the substitution, you are more than welcome to do that. Today we discussed the easiest input for graphing a line, and that easiest input is 0. So on 0, if we plug 0 in to our x value, 3 times 0 is 0, minus 4 is going to be -4. In doing so, I've now created the ordered pair 0, -4. That point is down here. I'm going to put a dot at 0, -4, and now I need to create a new ordered pair. So I'm going to pick another number. I can pick any number I'd like, but I'd like to keep numbers that are relatively small and in the coordinate plane itself. I don't want to pick numbers like 9, 10, or 11 because that number doesn't exist on the x or y axis. So the next easiest number I think to pick is 1. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 minus 4 is -1. I'm going to then plot the ordered pair of 1, -1 using a dot. And finally, I'm going to pick a third point. A third point can be, again, anywhere. You may even notice a pattern. So if I picked 0, 1, the next most obvious choice should probably be 2 as my input. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 4 is a +2. My ordered pair is 2, 2. When I make my dot, if I make my dot and then I look at my points and it does not result in a line, I know I've done something wrong. So as I connect my dots with a straight edge, I should see that all 3 points are corresponding in a straight line. We're going to do another example, but this time this is number 9 on the back of your worksheet. And as we discussed in class, you'll notice that this one has a fraction. So we're going to have to make our table of values and discuss some friendly numbers with this fraction. So to the right of the coordinate plane, you're going to make your table of values starting with your x and your y. Again, the first number that we're going to choose is the easiest number, and that is 0. 1/2 times 0 is 0, plus 3 gives me a y value of 3. In plotting that ordered pair, I'm going to go over 0 and up 3 and make my first dot. The next 2 inputs are going to be the ones that you think are the easiest to calculate with the fraction 1/2. So any even number would make sense in these inputs. I'm going to choose the inputs of +2, and I'm also going to choose the input of -2. You do not have to choose these, but for this example, I'd like you to try. 1/2 of 2 is 1, and 1 plus 3 is 4. 1/2 of -2 is -1, and -1 plus 3 is +2. Now I have two more ordered pairs that I'm going to graph. 2, 4, and -2, +2. Again, you should notice that when you create these dots, there is a line or a linear relationship between the 3 points. If for some reason you either graph the ordered pair wrong or you do not have the correct calculation, you will find that there is not a straight line. The key to this is to be able to make a straight line using 3 points. That is the minimum requirement to make a straight line. Your homework tonight is to pick any two other equations to graph. One of them has to be a fraction. One of them has to be a fraction for your homework.